Look at that. All right, how are you all doing? I'm Andrew Weiss. I am the district team leader for South Plainfield Music Department, and I also teach at the middle school for the middle school band. I'd like to welcome you to our South Plainfield Instrumental Information Night, and we're going to just have some folks that are going to talk about all of the instruments that are here and our band or orchestra program in our schools. We also have a wonderful chorus program, and students can start chorus in 3rd grade, and they can be in chorus in 3rd grade and 4th grade. And those are going to start at the beginning of next year, and the general music teachers are going to be recruiting for those once the fall comes. But right now we're going to talk a little bit about our program. First of all, I'd like to introduce our music staff. We have an excellent music staff here. We have, for Kennedy School, it's Miss Habib. We have Mr. Parisi is at the Franklin School. Miss Cloud, who is not here, she teaches at the Roosevelt School. We also have, we have Miss Madeline, who teaches at the Grand School. Mr. Tweed teaches at the Grand School for the band. We have Miss Stacio behind the camera here, who teaches the orchestra at the Grand School. Also, who's not here is Mr. Baldwin, who teaches at the Riley School. Ms. Levecki teaches at the elementary school as an orchestra, and she's at the middle school orchestra director as well. We have Ms. Lee, who teaches here at the high school, and she's at Roosevelt for orchestra. We have Mr. Howout, who's the high school band director. We have Mrs. Howout, who does middle school chorus, and she teaches in most of the elementary schools in the instrumental program. And also we have Dr. Kregler, who is not here. She teaches the high school chorus. Our program is awesome. The orchestra program starts in 3rd grade, and the band program starts in 4th grade. Again, orchestra is all things that are stringed instruments, and Ms. Levecki is going to talk about that in a moment. And the band program is all about all of the wind and percussion instruments. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Ms. Levecki, who's going to talk a little bit about the orchestra program.
So good evening. So I get to talk to you, like Mr. Weiss said, about the orchestra program. And like he said, it starts in 3rd grade and then can continue all the way up through high school. Many students you see behind me started just as young as some of you are now. And I remember some of them being much smaller than they are right now. And it's amazing just to see the progress that can happen just starting from 3rd grade all the way up through 12th. So for the string program, we do have 4 instruments the children can choose from, starting with the smallest, the violin. Next you have the viola, my personal favorite, that looks like the violin, but it's a little bit bigger. And so some things, I know in some schools, some teachers would have talked about the string family and talked about the differences. And sometimes the kids can rush home like, oh, I want to play, I don't know what instrument I want to play. And a lot of people choose the violin because it's the most one that everyone knows, right? But you also have the viola that looks very similar, played almost exactly the same way. It just has a nice deeper, lower sound. And I always encourage the students and also parents to go on. We actually have a website that I think we'll figure out how to get there later on. Mr. Weiss talk to you how to get there. But we have on there videos of you can hear the different instruments. And on YouTube, especially parents go on there with your children, there's a ton of amazing players on YouTube that shows very different instruments from violin to viola and also to cello, which is a little bit bigger. Sarah down there plays the cello that you sit and play. And you also have the big guy. Now this bass is a little small for Leah. She's quite tall. What's amazing is you can tell these instruments come in different sizes. So that's the only thing that's pretty cool with string instruments. Like clothes, they come in different sizes. So usually I make this joke with the kids. Do you wear your parents' clothes? And kids, parents, do you wear your kids' clothes? No. So with the string instruments, same thing. This violin would be too small for me. but it's a perfect size for a third grader. Same thing with this viola, even with this cello. This cello would be too small for me, just like that bass is a little too small for Leah. Her bass that she plays at high school is much bigger. It's about, I think that is at an 8th size. So hers is, I think, probably close to a 1/2 or 3/4 size, right, Mrs. Lee, what they have up in the high school. So that's very small. Leah, do you want to demonstrate, what does the bass sound like? Really nice low sound. So some of you may be like, oh, that's really big. But again, they do, most of the time they do try to give the smaller sizes to students who want to play that. And obviously we'll make sure, if you're unsure of what size it's right for your child, always speak to one of the teachers. In a general rule, 1/2 size is about the right size for a violin. 12 to 13 inches is about the right size for a viola starting in 3rd grade, and about 1/4 to a 1/2 for cello as well. Did you want to demonstrate the cello real quick, Sarah? Oops. It's strapped on for safety.
Want to sit?
Also a little low. Put it on top. So again, nice low sound as well. So again, if you want to hear different things, go online, listen to some videos, and do that. Now, how the schedule works, which is also going to be similar to the band that Mrs. Howlett's going to talk about later, is that for most schools, because I'm going to be able to speak upon what Kennedy does, but it's going to be similar to what, because I'm at Kennedy, I have been at other schools as well, but how it works, well, this year is a little different than past years. But I'm going to talk pre-COVID, because that's what I'm hoping that will happen for the future. But we have lessons once a week that would be, we usually talk to the teachers and how to schedule them to make it the least obtrusive for a student to miss class, to make sure they don't miss vital information. And usually the teachers are very flexible and welcoming to working with us to create a perfect schedule for the students that they have. So they would be having pulled out for once a week for that, and they also have an opportunity to play with the ensemble to prepare for concerts. And then for most schools, usually that happens during recess. Some schools maybe before school. Again, it depends on the school, so you can always talk to the teacher from your school of how that works. But it's usually a once a week thing. Students would have to bring their instruments in. For the bigger instruments, again, sometimes we can work with you to maybe have an instrument at school they can use, especially if they have the bass, so you don't have to drag it back and forth every time there's lessons. And of course, we encourage students to practice as much as possible to progress and also prepare for performances throughout the year. So at this time, because I don't think I've forgotten anything for the strings, but at this time I'm going to pass it over to Mrs. Howell, and she's going to talk about the band.
Thank you for the introduction. As Ms. Lebecky said, I am Mrs. Howat. I teach the elementary band. Currently this year I've been teaching at Kennedy, Roosevelt, and Riley Elementary School. So I've seen a lot of your students and they're super pumped for joining the band. So I'm really excited to see your faces tonight. So the band program has a bit of a larger array of instruments, but they operate a little bit more differently than the strings because they do not come in different sizes. That's why we don't offer them to the younger grades. So the instrument that you see here is the same size instrument that you're going to be playing whether you're in 4th grade or you're in high school. Now, as you grow, there are more opportunities for larger instruments, whereas we have our woodwind family, we have a variety of saxophones. We start our 4th graders out with alto saxophones, but you could grow through to a tenor saxophone, or I believe we have a bari saxophone somewhere, but it's not being played tonight. They get bigger and bigger as your children grow. We also have opportunities to grow through our lower brass section. We have our tuba. This we like to call our baby tuba. It is very, very, very 10-year-old friendly, but as you grow, we tend to give you larger and larger tubas as your body can handle them. So I'm going to walk you through all the instruments and then we'll talk about the schedule. Starting over here, we have our woodwind family. We offer our flute, which is our very high-pitched instrument. Lots of keys. Kids get very intimidated by those many, many keys, but I promise you, they only use 6 fingers, the same as they use on most every other instrument, okay? Clarinet, very similar to the flute. They operate the same way, except the clarinet uses a reed. So you do, your instrument does come with consumables, and they need to be replaced throughout the year. They have a much lower sound, and I find that kids really do find a lot of very fast success with this instrument. So if you're looking for that, good place to start. Very similar to the recorder. For those of you who have started with the recorder this year at your school and enjoyed playing the recorder, the clarinet and the saxophone relate very closely to that. Moving on to the alto saxophone, we have, like I said, 3 different sizes. We have our alto saxophone, our tenor saxophone, and our bari saxophone. And they move through a speaking register, and then as we get older and larger, we move down to the tenor sax, which goes into a deeper tone, and then the bari saxophone, which is much, much, much deeper. So those are basically all the woodwind instruments that we have here to demonstrate. So I'm going to take a second to just highlight some of our students that we have here. I have Emily and Kieran. Emily and Kieran to demonstrate our flutes.
That's about it.
We have Sarah over here on our clarinet. Saxophone over here, we have Justin. Justin's playing our tenor saxophone tonight. And Tommy is going to demonstrate our bass clarinet. This is available to 4th graders. If anyone's interested in this instrument, I do have one. Ready to go if you are interested. Okay, so we have, that rounds out our woodwind family, so I'm going to move on down to our brass family. Our brass family starts out with our trumpet. Very high pitch, reaches our highest notes in the brass family. Can I introduce Jeremy on the trumpet? We have our French horn here. I don't believe we have anyone here to demonstrate a French horn, right? No. So we have our French horn. Our French horn is a beautiful, higher sounding instrument with much more mellow sound. It is, it's a beautiful instrument. It's one of my favorites. Definitely an option. So much fun to play. We're going to move down to our trombone here. Trombone is the most fun for our 4th graders because they love playing with the slide. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our friend Jason to play his trombone, but the best part about it, that slide, super fun. An amazing job highlighting its higher upper register, but our trombone does also reach a much lower register, which is where our students begin. We're going to move on down to our euphonium. Euphonium is, everybody likes to call it a baby tuba, but it is actually a euphonium. And it plays in the same register as the trombone, but it plays the same style as a trumpet. You see the same valves. It works exactly the same way as a trumpet, but in a lower octave. Which brings us down to our baby tuba. Our baby tuba is it's large, as you can see. It's very fun to play. It plays exactly the same as the trumpet, but again, an octave lower than the euphonium, so 2 octaves lower than the trumpet. A lot of students tell me it's too big. I don't want to carry it back and forth. I don't want to hold it. I have stands. We place the tuba in the stand, and all you have to do is scoot your little self up to it. So it's not really that hard to play it. And bringing it back and forth, depending on the need for this instrument during the school year, I may or may not be able to let you borrow one to keep at home, depending again on how many players we have that year. Okay, so that about rounds out our brass family. Did I get everybody? Yes. Okay. So we're gonna come on down here to our percussion family. Everybody says, I want to play the drums. I love the drums. Drums are part of our percussion family, which are super fun, but they are also part of the mallets. Okay, if you sign up to play the drums, we also sign up to play the mallets because it's part of being a percussionist. And it's so much fun. So I'm gonna go ahead, we have over here, we have a marimba, and a xylophone, and we have here our student xylophone. If you rent a percussion set, this is the xylophone that comes with your set, and a drum pad. And it comes with a drum pad. So you will get the experience of learning how to drum, and you will also learn to play the mallets, melodic instruments, be able to play songs, and not just the rhythms on the drum. You're getting the full experience of playing all the percussion pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Joelle and Jessica on our mallet instruments. So thank you to all of our instrumental volunteers. You guys did an awesome job demonstrating these instruments. I'm just going to move on and touch quickly on the way that the band schedule works. The band schedule at the elementary school is extremely similar to what Ms. Levecki described with the orchestra. We have one lesson a week where students are pulled out of class on a rotating basis. So because there are so many band instruments, when we make the schedule, we generally end up with a 6-week rotation, so your student would only miss that one class every 6 weeks, every month and a half. So it's a much wider rotation. And then we do also have, in non-COVID times, we have a full ensemble rehearsal where students come together and they learn how to play together. And the end goal for that is to play in the winter concert and the spring concert. We do have 2 concerts, and students are expected to perform in those and show off their skills, because what they're doing, they're learning a brand new language essentially, and showing off that skill is a huge accomplishment for just even those first few months up until the winter concert. So we really like to showcase our students in those concerts. But again, those full rehearsals are usually taking place during the lunch and the recess time. Once a week. They're not missing recess every day. It's only once a week. And they still go to lunch, then they come to rehearsal. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the program over to our Music and Arts representative, Mr. Klingborg, who will tell us all about the music rentals.
Thank you. Thanks for being here tonight. It's really great to see so many students and parents who are just thrilled pieces to be part of the music program here at South Plainfield. It's a great program. It's a great group of teachers, and the experience of being in the school music program really lasts a lifetime. It's forming a community. Your kids will never forget their first experiences with music. It's definitely a lifelong experience that not only teaches them how to play an instrument, it teaches them a whole lot of life skills that they wouldn't get otherwise. So thank you very much for taking an interest in being tonight. Once again, my name is Kerry Klingborg. I am the educational representative with Music and Arts. I come to South Plainfield regularly, once a week during the school year and sometimes during the summer for various things. And we provide the rental instruments to you for the program. Renting from us is very simple. You can return or exchange the instrument at any time. You can rent online, or we just this year opened up a brand new store in Edison on Route 27 at 1908 27 in Edison. So you can go in there and pick up your instrument and rent it. We have two different rental program periods to start out. I'll get into that in a minute. If you start out on one instrument, you're renting it, but you're accruing credit to 100% of it is going to the purchase of an instrument, so the ownership of an instrument. Let's say you start out on trumpet. Trumpet doesn't work out for you. You want a different instrument. As long as it's okay with the teacher, you can exchange that out for a different instrument, and it's not like you're starting over again. The credit that you have on one instrument applies to another one. So if you have any issues with your instrument during the time you're renting, you can swap it out for that also. We have repairs. There's maintenance programs on the instrument available. So that's also a bonus, that you're not having to pay a bunch of money out front for an instrument and then have to come up with other charges and payments to gradually accruing, credit in the instrument, so that you don't have a big investment all at one time. 100% of your rental payments apply towards the purchase of an instrument. We offer discounts if you wanted to purchase the instrument. You haven't accrued all the credits to owning the instrument. You can purchase it early and get a substantial discount off the price of the instrument. And actually here in South Plainfield, with your initial rental, you get a free book. So that's also a bonus that saves you a little bit of money. So the two periods I was talking about, we have a 4.5-month trial period, and we have a 10-month trial period, which covers basically the school year, right? So the 4.5-month plan, most instruments are only $40 for that whole 4.5 months. And then the 10-month plan starts at only $130. Now, it sounds like a lot more money for 10 months than 4.5 months, but after the trial period is over, you go month to month on rental at beginning at $31. So in actuality, you're saving about $75 over the course of that initial 10 months if you go with the 10-month trial period. So that's really the highlights of it. That's it. I'll be around to answer any questions. I also have some flyers up here on the table to take with you. And again, our store in Edison is very handy. That's something we didn't have in previous years, and it's a nice store to go to. We also have private lessons that we teach there, so there's all sorts of benefits to going in there and checking us out. And you can also rent online. If you rent online, you go to musicarts.com/rental, enter your zip code, the name of your school, and the grade that your child is in, and you select your instrument. And if you go on there and want to rent for fall, you can choose your instrument, get the instrument all set up, and have me deliver it in the fall. So there's many ways to go about this, and again, welcome, and I'm really happy to see everybody out there. Just so excited to bring your kids the experience of music in the school. Thank you very much.
All right, so we have the instruments that are here. The school does own has an inventory of instruments that can be lent out. Usually those instruments that are lent out are usually designated for the folks with a financial need our goal is to ensure that everybody has the opportunity to learn a musical instrument and to play an instrument. Please keep in mind, as you guys are renting and you're borrowing instruments, there are, as they get older, there's some instruments that the school doesn't have. Like in the middle school and the high school, we usually don't give out a lot of trumpets or clarinets and stuff like that. So usually if your child's continuing and they get to that point and they're renting, they can usually switch to one of the larger instruments, which is how I've talked about. The instruments that Music and Arts rents are always of high quality. And the one thing that we want to think about as we're looking to get, a lot of folks come up and ask to buy instruments, and that's totally fine, but you have to be aware of some of the instruments that are out there. I've been at the middle school for about 24 years, and in the time that I've been there, I've seen pretty much every type of instrument that rolls in. And your student success, the quality of the instrument is 100% dependent. Your student success is 100% dependent on the quality of the instrument that they have. If you get an instrument online, please ask one of us first, because there's a lot of instruments that are out there that are instrument-shaped objects that look like instruments and they look really nice, but they're very difficult to play and they're almost impossible to fix. A lot of the instruments, in order to fix, they have to have heat applied, and we've seen instruments that have been bought on the internet that have heat applied and the instrument actually melts because all the glue on there is like usually heat activated. Also, we've had students that have come in and they can't make a sound, they can't play. We give them like a high quality school instrument and all of a sudden it's night and day. So if you're gonna make the investment, please ask one of us and we can kind of help guide you in the right direction. Just a few things, if it's a red instrument or a green instrument or a special color, that's 99% of the time it's just for looks and it does not play well. And it's our goal is to have your child be successful, and if you would like your child to continue, we definitely recommend a high quality instrument. Mr. Howlett's going to close for a minute, and we'll also open ourselves up for questions. Just as we know, there's brochures over there. Also, I have some QR codes here in this folder here, where you guys can scan it in. You can go to we have a website which has demonstrations of professional people playing the instruments. And we also have questions. There's a Music and Arts site, and also there's a sign up to sign your child up for the program. And without any ado, Mr. Howell is going to close us out, and then he'll also take some questions. So thank you.
All right, I wanted to thank you all for coming out tonight and showing your interest in the music program in South Plainfield. I want to give another shout out to the student musicians who came tonight. They volunteered their own time to come and help demonstrate and help build a program because they've invested themselves so much into it. Some of them have been playing since they were in elementary school, since 3rd grade. So this is kind of what you have to look forward to when your students, when your children finally get up to the high school and you see they've made so much progress. Just think of that when they're blowing their trumpet and it's 8 o'clock at night. You really don't want to hear that. Just think of what is to come. Okay. Just to close out, again, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you to all the music teachers. If you ever have any questions about the music program and you're not sure who to reach out to, you can probably reach out to any of us. We'd be glad to forward your question or answer it ourselves and help you out. At this time, we'd like to take any questions. If you have any questions for us, we'd like to field any questions you may have. I think we covered it. We got it.
Say one thing real quick.
Yes, Ms. Madeline would like to say one thing.
If there are any 4th graders out here that are looking to join brand new to Grant School's program, the QR code is not going to lead you to the sign up for that. I've been emailing home the links, so please go to the link. I will also re-email it home if you've not signed up yet. You will get the link until it's been filled out. So just be on the lookout for that, or if you'd like help signing up tonight, Mr. Tweed, Miss Stacy, and I are around to help anybody that's entering into Grant School and starting out for their first time. Thank you.
All right, if you have no more questions, or if you have a question and you just want to kind of ask us privately, that's fine. We'll be here for a little bit longer. And also, if you want to talk to any of the students about their experience in the music program, feel free to do so. I'm sure they would love to answer your questions, and they love talking about music. So with that said, thank you all for coming tonight, and woohoo band, and orchestra, and choir.